This is breaking: the U.S. Federal Reserve to launch their Fednow instant payment system in July. Of course, we reported this as well. Now, he states it does not use XRP or Ripple, but does everything end just there? I mean, there's also the central banks of the world, right? So this whole thing of like just dump your, Ripple XRP and just go all in on Cypherium, I don't think that's the case. And I basically, I don't want you guys to think, hey, go ahead and do that. Now, if you're going to do that, that's on you. You got to do what you got to do. I would not do that. As the saying goes, like, I like Web 36. I think he's, I appreciate, him following me and so on. But he announced, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, that he originally got rid of 90% of his XRP and converted to Cypherium. And now I guess he's 100% in. Again, perfect example of eggs all in one basket. If that's you, and then you want to do what you got to do, that's what you got to do. Again, it's not financial advice, right? But I'm not doing that. I want to be more diversified. Heck, that's why I'm into a bunch of ISOs. I'm not into all of them, but some of you guys are into all of them. So I don't see you guys dumping all the stuff you have and getting all into just Cypherium. Anyway, so like I said, Cypherium is a Fednow service provider. Will we see Cypherium rip? I think we're going to see a rip because, the market is reflecting that, right? When you connect some of the dots, you can draw your own conclusion. When we go further down into this, look what it says. I further explain this on TikTok. We'll play this briefly. It's about a minute. He says, yes, Ripple XRP has connections to Volante and Volante to Fednow. All right, so let's go ahead and pause this. We're going to play this about a minute. We'll come right back. Smash that like if you haven't done so already. And like it says, Fednow is live in July and does not use XRP. Let's hear his particular perspective.
The Federal Reserve has just announced that in July, their Fednow instant transaction system goes live. It does not use Ripple. It does not use XRP. It does not use HBAR, Stellar, Quant, or any of them. Instead, they have went and built instant payments on their own. Now, how can we actually benefit on this? Which tokens are going to pump? And what is the connection between Ripple and Fednow? So I've done some research, and Cypherium, CPH, is the only token that's actually directly involved in the Fednow system. It's a very low market cap, low volume, low exchange listing, so it's high risk, but Cypherium actually is a Fednow service provider. Now, the only connection to Ripple is through Volant, so it's an indirect connection, but Volant joined the pilot program for Fednow, and Volant is actually a partner and client of Ripple. I will let you know if I find more tokens that could be affected.
So the Fed announces July launch a new Fednow system for live transactions. The Federal Reserve's Financial Services Division on Wednesday announced the launch of new instant payment system Fednow that will roll out in July. Some people, of course, combined with what you saw posted from Mike Cornwell that I retweeted, and as well as this, feel as well that why like Cypherium is just doing a massive pump again. It is basically buy the rumor, sell the news right now with them, and that does cause price action, whether you believe that or not. It's a true thing. Now, we're going to play this particular video, but look what it says. The Federal Reserve's Financial Services Division on Wednesday announced the launch of a new payment system, Fednow, that will roll out, of course, in July. This is Fox Business. I will play the whole entire thing for you. It's 3 minutes and 12 seconds. But if anything, let me know what you guys think in regards to this. Smash that like button if you haven't done so already. And this is extended coverage from yours truly, Max of CTN. Thank you for being here. Let's go ahead and jump right into this right now.
Stocks plunging on growing bank contagion fears. Credit Suisse dropping to a record low as high-profile economist Nouriel Roubini says a collapse would be a Lehman moment for the economy. Joining us now is Strategas CEO and Chairman Jason Trenner. Jason, good to see you. Thanks for being with us on a rough day. Everyone's trying to characterize the moment. What do you call it? Do you call it a Lehman moment? How are you describing it?
I wouldn't call it a Lehman moment. And I think Lehman moment also, you had weakness in the entire banking system, particularly among large banks. And then it was, in my opinion, exacerbated by some policy errors along the way. So I don't think it's to that point. And I think we have Lehman to learn from. So that's the good news. The bad news, though, is this is very serious. And in many ways, I think, not to pick on the Fed, but I think in some ways it's really a result of 12 years of quantitative easing. And so the Fed has found itself in this, it's almost like a Hotel California monetary policy where, you can check out anytime you want, but you can't really leave. It's very, very difficult to get back to normal once you've had this type of easy monetary policy for so long.
My question is on contagion. A lot of viewers at home may be reassured their deposits may not be at risk. But if regional banks stop lending, stop giving out loans, they sort of look at their books and say, we're going to let the dust settle, no more lending for now, coming up in credit quality. What then does that do in terms of the ripple effects and the contagion?
Well, it certainly, and this is one of the reasons why I think we were on a path to a recession to begin with, when the Fed tightens this aggressively, as it had to, in my opinion, given the inflationary expectations that we were developing. This is what happens. This eventually, right? This is a natural consequence of that. And I think it would be only natural for regional banks to take a step back and reevaluate the environment around them. That's especially true in certain areas that are very heavily, as we saw, very heavily dependent upon private equity or venture capital or a lot of speculative capital. And people are going to have to, again, reassess where we are in the economic cycle. But in my opinion, we were on our way to a recession before this, and this just exacerbates that.
Can I ask you really quickly?
Sure.
I made the point how this is different than last time, than 2008. But having said that, do you think that the government is equipped to handle it?
The government, of course, can do whatever it wants, right? So it is equipped to handle it to the extent to which it has the power to print money. The problem is that inflation is much higher today than it was in 2008. So it can fix it, but it just makes the problems that they're originally trying to fix, which is higher inflation, it makes that much harder. And inflation, of course, is very regressive. It hurts everyone.
Yes.
Whereas, some of these problems hurt. Mainly, you don't want to see anyone get hurt, but it mainly hits wealthier people, whereas inflation hurts everyone, particularly working class people, people that are a bit poorer. It's very tough. So the Fed is in an extremely tough spot here, it seems to me.
Jason, in the spirit of Hotel California, stay right there.
Okay.
I'm going to come back to you in a second.
Sure. All right, so glad to be able to share that. Yeah, I mean, I saw it on Fox Business, and I thought, that was worth sharing. It's the banks using Ripple. Let's get down into it. Let's go further down. You have SBI Holdings, American Express, which is big. I'm still bitter with those dudes. They didn't hire me. I had a freaking job interview, and they were like, "Oh, we have another candidate." And I was just like, "What?" They tried to give me a line, and then at the end of the day, you know what they told me? They said I was overqualified because I have an MBA and the position required a bachelor's. Really? So you wanted me to basically have the minimum, so you don't want anybody to overachieve. Sorry, I'm still bitter over that. Anyway. Okay, so you got Standard Chartered. We've heard about them. Let's talk about this for a moment. So, I saw Verson Larja, Crypto Lulu, mentioned specifically Standard Chartered. So if you're wondering about Standard Chartered, it says they are British multinational investment bank. Standard Chartered, which has made a strategic investment in Ripple as a go-to bank for many regions in Asia, Africa, and Middle East. Yeah, this is big. So, I mean, this whole thing about Fednow, everyone's focused, Fednow only. Keep in mind, the American connection with that, which is big, don't get me wrong. But yeah, there's other sectors of the world, right? Asia, Africa, the Middle East. Standard Chartered involvement with Ripple goes back to 2015. Wow. When it released a proof of concept that related to trade finance invoicing security. As we know, with trade finance, XDC is a big player with that. So in a more concrete move, Standard Chartered and many banks launched a pilot program to move real funds under the Bank of Thailand's regulatory sandbox framework. That's big. That's big. You know how many times I mentioned on this show that it's not just about cross-border payments, but it's what? the overseas payments. Like I always use the example, like, you know, you have a bank in Greece. I mean, come on, they have their own funky text, if you will, right? Alphanumeric. It's just it looks similar to the traditional alphabet, but it's a little bit different with the alphanumeric characters, right? But you're going to send a not cross border, but overseas payment to Seoul, you know, South Korea. Man, that's going to get garbled up with the traditional MT messaging system. You have something with ISO 222, takes that whole thing out of the equation and gets it like that becomes what they call real-time payment, and it should settle basically instantaneous. But even that finality should be what, 30 seconds compared to what, delaying the payment all day long because the message got construed or garbled up because it went from point A of Greece to point B of South Korea. Again, like I mentioned, guys, time is money. So that's why I want to mention some of that. HSBC is huge. We talked about Project Icebreaker with Quant. We drew those connections. We feel as though it's like a 95% chance. Quant Papa said it was 100% chance that, you know, there was the HSBC Quant connection. Greg Lunt, shout out to him. He felt as though it was 95%. But all the evidence showed was over 7 examples that there definitely was a Quant connection there. I know this is Ripple, guys. I get it. Barclays, you can look more into that yourself. Bank of England, obviously, you know, a little bit more of what I was talking about. Bank of England, central banks, and so on. I mean, there's just tons here, right? I'm not going to read all this. There's some of these that really stand out, and some that don't. Axis Bank, that sounds funny. When I think about the Axis, I literally think of like World War II, right? You know, you got like Nazi Germany, Italy, Imperial Japan, right? Anyway. National Bank of Kuwait, interesting. Mitsubishi. Let's talk about Mitsubishi real quick. So the bank has successfully conducted pilot programs stating that Ripple solutions have made cross-border transactions faster and cheaper. Interesting. But the whole thing is this: to dismiss Ripple, in which obviously we're not. You can't. You go through this list. How can you dismiss Ripple and say that you're going to go all in on Cypherium? I mean, people are doing it. I don't mean no disrespect, obviously, to Web36. I think he's a good guy. He's passionate about Cypherium. But, I mean, for me personally, you know, I'm just not looking to put all my eggs in one basket. And I don't think you guys either. For the same reasons why a lot of you guys are into IOTA, into Corium, into Energy Web Token. What's the consistent thing here, right? Is the QFS, the quantum financial system, right? You got basically you're investing in the top 20 of those particular ones, right? So my thing is this, like, I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket. I don't think you guys should either. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Look at this Royal Bank of Canada. I mean, there's so many big standout ones here. So that was 20. You know what? I will read this last one because you know what? Something about, you know, Abu Dhabi, that particular region, right? So many people talk about, hey, I want to move to Dubai and, you know, and that particular region. So look at this. The National, the National Bank of Abu Dhabi, whose name has been since changed to First Abu Dhabi Bank, is the largest bank of the Middle East and North Africa with a coverage of 18 countries. And given that the United Arab Emirates is the 4th most active when it comes to remittances at 19 billion annually in remittance, large international networks makes it particularly suitable for using Ripple's cross-border solutions. It is also the first Middle Eastern bank to use Ripple for cross-border payments. Now tell me you're not impressed by the fact that Ripple has managed to convince so many banks in so many regions that it can provide revolutionary improvement on their processes. Oh yeah, very, very true. Again, the whole point of why we're showing you all this, and thank you to Crypto Mike, is because we want people to understand, don't just, you know, go based off of a few people who post on Twitter saying that, you know, go all in on Cypherium and only Cypherium. Understand that you cannot dismiss all of these particular partnerships. And this is just the icing, the tip of the iceberg. We didn't get, was it 200? We only gave you 20 right here, right? 20.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you have not yet subscribed, do yourself a favor and subscribe for more information on the ISO 222 compliant tokens, and hit the notification bell to make sure that you are aware of the new videos when they come up. Max and I cover these ISOs, and we also have a live show every single night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you tune in for that. You won't want to miss it. Thanks again, and we will see you on the next video.